Oh, 1 like in half an hour? I might as well not bother. Okay, so we've definitely all been there. We've been there when we're posting and we're posting and we're posting and we get 1 like. And the next post we get no likes, and the next post we get 2 likes, and we have a celebration over it. And then we look at other people and they're getting like 100 likes or 100 comments or 1,000 likes, and we're like, seriously, what are these guys doing that are getting them all this attention? And it's a hard one, you know. It's a tough gig, social media. And you know what? If it wasn't, everyone would be doing it, and everyone would be smashing it, and you'd have everyone on the planet as an influencer, and all these brands would have their pick of the bunch from who they work with. But like any marketing channel, growing your own brand, whether it's personal or business, is really hard. And it doesn't just happen overnight. And it takes a hell of a lot of work. And that's why in most companies, it's a full-time job. You know, they employ people to run their social media because, you know, your average salesperson or your average manager or your average compliance officer or whatever different roles you have in your business, they just simply don't have the time. They haven't got the time to dedicate to grow social media. It's not a case of just banging up a post and then half an hour later or an hour later bang up another one, or 2 days later bang up another one. It don't work like that. There's so much more to it. So in this video, we're going to explore 5 key things that you need to do, have in place, that are going to help you grow your social media following in the right way that actually delivers on the results that you set out. And it might be that you just want an audience, you just want to grab attention for no real reason other than that. And that's cool. No problem with that. It might be that you want sales. It might be that you're trying to grow a business. The same rules generally apply. So let's get into it with number 1. Okay, so showing up every day. You would think to yourself, well, if I've got an audience and I've got followers, then I should be able to show up like once a week or once a month and they'll just engage. Nah, it really doesn't work like that. I'll give you an example. I have nearly 9,500 connections on LinkedIn. I've been active on LinkedIn for about 18 months. And when I first started, I was engaging every day and for a long time, for about nearly a year. And engagement was really strong, you know, like 10, 12, 15, 20,000 views a post, 100, 200, 300, anything up to 500 engagements per post. You know, I got to the point where I could literally post anything. I could post a picture of a puddle and people would engage with it because I'd built up that much of a loyal following.
Oh, now that is a cracking puddle.
Then all of a sudden, during the 2020 kind of height of the pandemic, sort of May, June time, I took a break. I took a break from social and I was literally just dipping in once a week. And that break lasted 3 months. And when I came back, I still had all those connections, but it was like I was starting again. Seriously, do these people not even know who I am? I was literally dead to those people. Like, it was like, who's this chump? He's in him for 3 months, thinks he can just come back in, join the party and get 500 engagements a post. Nah, it just doesn't work that way. To be consistent on a social media platform, you have to show up every day. You have to be present every single day, weekends, evenings, Christmas, your birthday, nothing's off limits. The second you drop that level, you're done. Okay, so from experience, I can tell you that this one is probably, I won't say the most important because they're all important, but for longevity and for you to actually not see social media as a chore, I suppose I better bang up a post. Can't really be arsed though. You have to find your niche. You have to focus on the thing that you love the most and that you're passionate about. And you know that will not just last you a day or a week, and then you'll be like, "God, this is boring," but actually it's going to last you years, and you're still going to be able to talk about in years to come. And you know, the reason that that's so important is because when you're not passionate and you don't find your niche, even if it takes longer to grow, even if your niche is, even if it's something that you're passionate about, there's not necessarily a huge audience out there, and it's going to take longer to get to the level where you feel like you can monetize that social media following, or that you get to the numbers that you feel that you want to get to class it as successful. Doesn't matter, because this isn't a race here. It doesn't matter that it takes longer, but you have to be passionate about what you're talking about, because if you're not, people will instantly see that in your content and they will switch off. Well, that's about as inspiring as my left nipple. And I know this from experience. When I first started LinkedIn, I was very passionate about video, acting out funny comedy office sketches, and I was playing characters. So I'd be one character, then I'd flip to another character, and I'd even put on voices and accents.
Have you heard about Jonathan the other night down the pub? Well, I'm not one for rumours, as you know.
Leave off, Charles. You need to get your story straight, mate. And people loved it. You know, I was getting so many engagements, and people were messaging me and saying, "Mate, you know, you need to be on stage." And it was like, this. I love this. And then all of a sudden, I decided I needed an agenda behind my LinkedIn activity. And the second I put that agenda in, I lost it. Because all of a sudden, in my mind, doing stupid videos on LinkedIn was no longer productive, and I had to be selling, and I had to be ramming my product down people's throat. And instantly I lost big time because I had that agenda, and it came across that the stuff I was doing, I wasn't really that passionate about, because I wasn't passionate about selling necessarily the product or service at the time that I was trying to promote. And they saw it, and they saw right through it. And my engagement dropped off a cliff. And the crazy thing was, I got more connection requests and inbound leads when I was just playing the fool on camera than I ever did when I was trying to hit it and actually sell.
You can't sell on LinkedIn. What? LinkedIn's for fluffy dogs and memes and motivational quotes. You can't sell on here.
If we flip that on Instagram, and you can go and follow my Instagram page, which is the Chunky Cyclist. Now, I am super passionate about bikes, super passionate about cycling. And I thought, you know what, I'm not your typical cyclist. You know, I'm 6'1", 14.5 stone. Most cyclists that I know are like as thin as my finger. You know, they're pencil thin. And I thought, I'm not built like a cyclist. I thought I'll have a bit of fun with it, and I'll go with the Chunky Cyclist. Didn't want to say fat, didn't want to say chubby, because I think those words have negative impacts. So I said chunky. And I grew it, and I worked at it, and we're going to come on to how I did that in a minute. But I love it. I love it. There is zero agenda, and in 5 months, it's gone from zero, nothing, to almost 1,600 followers in 5 months. And I get people messaging me all the time saying, "How the hell have you done that so quickly?"
Honestly, mate, I love bikes. I don't even mind stopping every 10 minutes on a ride to take photos, just so I've got something for the gram. I love it. I live and breathe it. It's just me all over.
And it is so much about the passion for the niche. And we'll come on to that a bit more in a second. Okay, so when you first go into the world of social, especially if you're trying to do video, and you're putting yourself out there, very often people are quite insecure about putting themselves out there. So especially if they're a bit common, or they don't like the way that they look or the way that they sound, which is really, really common in people, isn't it? You know, people say, "Oh, I hate myself on film. Don't take photos." And but to influence on social media, you have to get past that.
Yes, I ride bikes and I wear lycra.
And actually, people respond to you so much more when you are just you, warts and all. You know, I've been there over the years where I've tried to be something I'm not, tried to put on an act or cover up something I didn't like, or speak in a particular way that I thought would appeal to people. I've even done it with YouTube. And it got me nowhere. It gets you nowhere. The second I realised the importance of being authentic and just being me and just chatting rubbish if I wanted to chat rubbish, or having a really strong opinion on something, or being honest about stuff that perhaps in the past I wouldn't have been honest about. A lot of people don't know this, but I actually suffer really bad anxiety. Instantly it all changed. Instantly it changed because people resonated with that. They related to me and the content I was putting out and the rubbish that was coming out of my mouth, and it was instantly relatable. Whatever you do, whatever your niche is, however you're going to present yourself within those social media platforms, you have to be you, 100% you. Nothing else will do. And it's scary at first, but if you can get past that initial fear, you'll be rewarded. You really will. Okay, massive one that people miss. It doesn't matter how good you are at what you do, how attractive you are, although sometimes that works. I wouldn't know. Or any of that. If you don't give first on social media, you will not get back.
So hold on, I've got to care about everyone else's posts as well.
When I first started on LinkedIn, even though I had 3,000 connections from years back, from when I was cold calling and selling and smashing out messages left, right and centre, which that wasn't how to engage, that was just purely from a lead gen point of view. I had 3,000 connections built up, but they were old. They weren't going to engage with anything that I put out. So even though I had that, when I decided, you know what, I want to create content, I want to build an audience on this platform, for the first month, I didn't put out a single piece of content. Instead, I dedicated every single day to commenting and engaging with, and liking's no good, it has to be comments, and it can't be just a thumbs up or some other rubbish like that. It has to be a proper comment that adds value to that post. I was doing 30 to 40 posts a day, engaging with 30 or 40 posts a day for a month. What that does is it puts you inside the minds of all of those people every single day, and especially if they see you day after day showing up on their content. Not only does it put you in their minds, but it very often makes them then connect with you. My connection requests in that month went through the roof. I mean, they'd been static for years, the odd one here and there, because I was invisible. And then all of a sudden they went through the roof.
Well, hey, just call me Mr. Popular.
Then after that month, I thought, right, let's start. I'd taken some inspiration from some of the people that I'd followed, and I thought, right, let's start just putting out a little bit of content, a little bit of inspiration there, maybe a video there. I was never scared of being in front of the camera. And the first ones were like 1 like, 2 likes, and I was like, oh my God, even a month's worth of engaging's done nothing. But you stick with it, and after a week, every day, showing up, as we said at the start, they started getting higher. 5, 6, 7, 10. Few comments started trickling in. I thought, we're having this. But all the time that's happening, don't ever be tempted to stop engaging. The second you stop giving, even if you are at a point where you've got 50,000 connections and you get 1,000 engagements on a post, and I know people like that, they still show up every single day and engage multiple times a day. Otherwise, they know that 50,000 won't ever continue to grow, and their engagement on their content will just slowly fall away. Doesn't matter what stage you get to, engaging on other people's content will always be as important, if not more important, than putting out your own content yourself. And it's the same on any platform, whether it's LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, even YouTube. Now, YouTube, however much you know about YouTube, I don't know. It's very early days for me on this platform. But if people engage on your platform, on your content, make sure you're responding to them. Make sure that when you watch a video, you like it, especially if it's added value, you like it, you comment on it. Get into that habit. There are so many lurkers, what we call lurkers, that scroll their social media feeds and never engage, never comment, never like, never nothing. They take the information and they run with it. Now, that's fine if you never ever intend on posting or growing an audience on social media. If you want one, you have to give first. Okay, so the last one is about staying on point. Now, I'll give you a little story. Very recently, I asked my following on my Chunky Cyclist Instagram how they would respond if I was to start merging my unconventional Instagram posts into my Chunky Cyclist Instagram feed. So basically just putting a bit more personal content in there, stuff that promotes the unconventional brand. And the response was very mixed. Some were saying, yeah, do it, see what happens. Others were very hardcore on, no, don't do it. This is a cycling page. You've been successful in a very short space of time, only posting cycling content. Stick to that, or it might just lose its appeal. And I already knew that was going to be the case, and I kind of just wanted to see and almost prove my own theory. Whatever platform you're on, unless you set yourself up right at the start as a life blog, for instance, so you're just sharing life, and even then, there has to be a point to the shares. It might be that you are journaling your children, and that you want to journal your children growing up and the things they do, and you're helping young mums or young dads with play ideas or something like that. So even though the page will be very generic and it will be very family orientated and there'll be lots of random pictures on there, there's still a message in there somewhere. Or you go super niche like I have with the cycling one, and you have cycling, or I've got another one that's to do with my car, a classic car, and literally every single photo is of my car. If I posted up anything that was of me or the kids, it would bomb, instantly bomb, because that is not what they know me for. And it's the same with any platform. If you start off with a niche, stick with it. Don't get wishy-washy. Don't just think, oh, I'll do that one week and I'll do that the other week, and because it won't work. When I talk about evolution, though, I mean stick with your niche, but constantly look at different ways that you can evolve your content. So, and the platforms do this a lot for you. For instance, with Instagram, you had just generic video, photo posting. Then they gave you the video option. Then they increased the limit on the video option. Then they gave you stories. Now they've given you reels. They make it easy for you to evolve your content. Use the tools available on the platforms to evolve your content and get your message out there, because your audience uses those different techniques. You kind of need to show up in all of them to make sure that you don't get boring, because that can happen. No matter how relevant you are today, if you don't evolve your content and keep it on point and keep it so that it's moving with the times and using the services available on those platforms, people will start to get bored.
Ah, that's him done. One too many pictures of a Yorkshire pudding for my liking.
So there you go. This has been very different to my usual YouTube content, I have to admit. I've been very natural with this one. There's been very few cuts. I've gone off the top of my head for most of it. I literally had the headings, and the rest of it I've just spoken at the camera. I think when you're passionate about a subject and you know a lot about it, you can do that. You don't need to script it. And the other reason I did that for this video is because the whole point of social media and growing an audience is to be you and not try and put on this persona that you think people want to see. People buy you. And if you're selling a product, people will always buy you before they buy the product. So selling you and the real you and not this alternative version of you is so important on social media. We could go on forever, and there's loads of other things that we can discuss, and I'll be doing a secondary follow-up video to this with other points that we can talk about around social and what you need to do to grow that influence. For now, we've probably all had enough. So if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, I'd really appreciate it if you do that down below. Hit that bell so you don't miss my weekly updates, and I'll see you again soon.